Hello everyone, welcome back to another Taekook one shot. This is going to be a little space one shot because it's been a long time I wrote any little space one shot, so I hope you will love it. Jungkook was currently in kitchen cooking for the other members. They had a dance practice today and all of them would be exhausted since most of them still had schedule after it. Only he and Taehyung were already home. The younger had immediately went to his room and wasn't seen after. Very usual for him, if you would ask Jungkook, since Taehyung loved to help Jungkook with preparing food, even if it was only chopping vegetables or preparing the meat. When Jungkook was nearly finished with making the food, he walked out of the kitchen to get plates from the living room. As he came back, he hadn't noticed that someone was following him. Tada! Jungkook turned around shocked, but no one was standing behind him. He already wanted to go back in kitchen as something took it on his pants. He looked down and saw Taehyung sitting on the ground and looking up at him with a shy smile. Why are you on the ground, Tae? He asked and placed the plates on the table. Tae helped Dada. Taehyung bubbled and looked at him with puppy eyes. Jungkook frowned his brows at the word Dada, since they were living with other grown men, and the word had become a different meaning over the time than it probably should have. He also wasn't understanding why Taehyung was addressing him as daddy since he was male, but Taehyung didn't even seem to mean it in a other way. Tae still was looking at Jungkook with puppy eyes and looked completely innocent like child. Why are you addressing me as Dada? And stand up, your pants will get dirty. But Taehyung tilted his head and shot Jungkook a questioning look since they didn't understand most of the sentence. Jungkook sighed and held his hand out to help Taehyung stand up, but the younger had other plans. They kneeled and made grabby hands for Jungkook to pick him up. Again, the older was surprised, suspicious of Taehyung's behavior, but he still picked Tae up. As Jungkook wanted to get go of Tae and place him on the chair, Taehyung whined and clung even more on Jungkook, wrapped his hands around Jungkook's neck and his leg around Jungkook's waist. Cuddle, Taehyung whined and rested his head on Jungkook's shoulder. The older was confused and still tried to get Taehyung off of him, but Taehyung suddenly started to cry and clung over more to Jungkook. Dada, no one cuddle Tete, he wailed and looked at Jungkook with sad expression. They, Dada wants to cuddle with you, but Dada has to take care of the food, otherwise it will going to burn, Jungkook said slowly so that Taehyung could understand it. Taehyung lowered his head and slowly let himself slide down. Jungkook quickly turned the heat down before he turned back to Taehyung. The boy was sitting on the ground again and was fiddling with his shirt. As he noticed that Jungkook was looking down at him, he smiled and made grabby hands again. Jungkook lifted him up and set him on the dining table and looked at him. They thanks Dada beautiful, they blubbered, not noticing the worried look of the older. Jungkook had no clue what was going on with Taehyung, and it seems like Taehyung didn't even understand what he was saying. Most of the time, should we go to your room? Taehyung happily nodded and let Jungkook carry him up. After the stairs, Jungkook had to let Taehyung down since he was getting too heavy. Instead of complaining, Taehyung started to crawl towards the room, leaving Jungkook stunned. As they opened the door, Jungkook was surprised with the many childlike toys that were on the floor. Play with Tete. Taehyung added and grabbed one of the stuffed and handed it to Jungkook. Taehyung, what is going on here? Tete titled his head and shot him a questioning look. Tete won't play? Taehyung just said again and grabbed a pulses from for himself. That's Tata and there's Cookie. They are besties and had many adventures. Taehyung explained and introduced the BT-21 pulses to Jungkook. The older smiled as he noticed that they were representing himself and Taehyung, but also noticed that he was addressing Jimin and Jin also as a female. And what adventure will they have today? Jungkook had quickly adapted to the new situation and decided to play with Taehyung. Cookie and Tata will go to zoo. Taehyung decided and grabbed another box with more toys to play with. Can we tidy up before using more toys, or could you let them in the box? Taehyung nodded and together they started to put the other toys in the assigned box. Before they took the other toys out, Jungkook spent the afternoon playing with Taehyung and the BT-21 pulses, going on imaginary adventures to the zoo and having fun with the toys scattered across the room. As they played, Jungkook noticed that Taehyung's behavior was unusual. Okay, his completely behavior was unusual, but Jungkook already got used to it and could quickly tell the mood changes of Younger. He wondered if something might be bothering Taehyung or if he was feeling unwell. Are you okay, Tae? He nodded. Tae, happy playing with Dada, he replies, and Jungkook was melting from how cute the Younger looked. They played for another hour. None of them, the other members, had come back to the dorms yet, and Jungkook was grateful for this. He didn't know how he should handle things with Taehyung if they would suddenly show up. After some time, he prepared a few snacks for the two of them, also feeding Taehyung sometimes from the food he had prepared. But when they went back to Taehyung's room to play some more, Jungkook noticed that Taehyung was very quiet. Hey, Tete, is something on your mind? You can always tell Dada. Taehyung looked down at his hands and hesitated for a moment before replying. Tete sometimes miss Emanapa. He murmured, his voice barely louder than a whisper. Jungkook gently hugged him, only to realize that Taehyung was missing his parents and that this was the reason that he was addressing Jungkook as Dada and acting like this. I understand that it's normal to miss your family. Sometimes Jungkook said softly, reaching out to pat Taehyung's head. Taehyung looked up, his eyes glistening with tears, but Dada takes good care of Tete now, right? He asked, seeking reassurance. Jungkook smiled warmly, wiping away a tears that had escaped from Taehyung's eyes. Of course, Dada will take good care of you, Tete, just like a real Dada does. I will be always there for you, Tete. He replies, his heart swelled with love for the younger member. Taehyung smiled through his tear, finally comforted by Jungkook's word. Thank you. Taehyung crawled towards Jungkook and let his head rest on the older's lap. Jungkook softly smiled and started stroking his hair. Jungkook was deep in thoughts, so he didn't notice that Taehyung had drifted off to sleep. After a few minutes, as he finally noticed, he placed Taehyung's body on the bed and quickly tidied up the room before any other member arrived. Next day, Thang was behaving completely normal and didn't seem to remember anything of the previous day. Jungkook was confused, assured him that he didn't remember much of yesterday. They didn't have much time to talk the whole day since they had an interview today and everyone had other schedules after. Thang, could we please talk after dinner? Jungkook asked as he saw Thang coming out of the bathroom. Thang nodded and walked back to his room. After dinner, Jungkook and Thang went to Thang's room where they could talk without being disturbed. Tape, could you please explain what this was yesterday? You were acting like a child and calling me Dada. I wouldn't judge you or tell anyone if you don't want it, but please explain it to me. I am here for you. Thang bit his lips and scratched his neck. Thang took a deep breath and finally looked up at Jungkook. I am a little, he admitted, hesitating slightly as he used the term a little. What does that mean? Jungkook asked, trying to understand. It means I sometimes feel like a younger age, like a child. Thang explained. It's called age regeneration. It's a way for me to cope with stress or when I'm feeling overwhelmed. Jungkook listened carefully, his eyes filled with understanding. And that's why you call me Dada and you wanted cuddle yesterday? Thang nodded. Yes, when I am in that head space, I like comfort and care, and you have always been there for me like my dearest would be. You are kind and loving, and it helps me feel safe. Yesterday I was probably in baby space. It sometimes happens when I am too stressed or if I miss my home and family too much. Jungkook's heart swelled with pride and concern for Taehyung. I'm glad I could be there for you, Tete. If you don't have to worry about it, you can be yourself around me and I always support you. And if you want, you can address me how you want. Taehyung's eyes teared up, grateful for Jungkook's understanding. Thank you, Jungkook. It means a lot to me. Jungkook pulled Taehyung into a warm hug, letting him know that he was accepted and loved just as he was. You are my little baby, and I am here to take care of you whenever you need it, he said softly. But could we keep it away from the others a bit? I don't even want anyone to find out yet. Jungkook nodded, understanding Taehyung's concern. You can tell them whenever you want, whenever you are ready. I wouldn't pressure you. Taehyung smiled and hugged Jungkook. Hey Ami, as you all know that it took me a lot of time to write a story, so please comment it down, and if you need a special episode of this story, so tell me in the comments.